So I'm scrolling on TikTok and then I see Suzzy Frank trending. And the first video I've seen is of the teacher that is calling her out. And basically, this is not something, I think if you've ever come across those two kids dancing, you've probably thought of this before. And her response ndio imenishtua above everything. But I'm here to actually think of the other side because I'm sure there are people who are so desensitized that don't actually see what the problem is. So Suzy Frank is the mom to two teen kids. I think I've seen their videos in the past. I think they're in high school, where they come on TikTok and they do the TikTok challenges, they dance, etc. And of course, on some of those videos, they're like twerking and doing the adult dances and everything like that. So when you look at the comments, ni zile tu comments zenye I think tumeanza kunormalize as Kenyans. 35 years si kidogo nini, and something like what Musa said the other day when he was trending, which again sounds very bad, especially because these kids are minors. But this time it's different because it's the mom who's shooting and posting. And it reminds me of a time, I don't know whether I'm the only one who was raised in such a homestead, whereby 9 p.m. ikifika ilikuwa time ya kulala. And I remember very well it was because kulikuwa na program ilikuwa inaitwa Bold and the Beautiful. Ilikuwa inakuja I think after news. And you would not think even sitting there and watching it as your parents were watching until this day. Sijui nini ilikuwa kwa hiyo show. I just know it was a soap opera until they started coming up. And then shortly after tukaanza kuziona at 7:30 after news, soap opera zikaingia hapo kidogo kidogo, social media ikakuja, and so we are getting desensitized to some of these things that we don't realize they're a problem. And so I am not going to support what Suzzy Frank is doing, but I'm also coming from a point where I understand there's a lot of desensitization. And it's because we are seeing kids dancing every day on TikTok, we are seeing them twerking, we are seeing them doing things that are supposed to be not for their age, like it's not age appropriate. So when you see the mom do it and she's like, hii ndo kitu inanilipa ama inanileteanga do, akisema I don't know, she's learning from the comments. There's also another comment amesema ati what is the problem, wakiandikiwa hivyo yetu wanaambiwango hivyo hata huko nje. It becomes very worrying because this actually is abuse, because it is grooming. And anytime we talk about grooming, it usually sounds like such a big thing. I want you to consider this, especially if it ever gets to you, if you're a parent, ama let's even say Suzzy Frank mwenyewe. There are things that are supposed to be age appropriate. I think tunasikianga hata PG, even in movies, in what, there's always that thing ya PG, which means different people of different ages are supposed to be exposed to different things. We're not all supposed to be the same. So while we have made twerking normal, while we have made dancing normal, while we have made kids dancing on social media in short dresses, high slits, crop tops, and everything, it is not normal. And I'm going to say that because what happens is, number one, who's the biggest consumer of this content? Normally, it's adults who are mostly men, and that's why you see people like Akina Musa saying, "Hey, Gen Zs, Gen Alpha." Actually, he said Gen Alpha are better than millennials and Gen Zs and everything else. That is sexualizing a child. And what happens in that case is these kids are getting followers. These kids are getting, I don't know whether they're getting brand deals. I don't know how the mom is making money. But even that itself, imagine your child having the responsibility of ni almost like the breadwinner. And it happens with a lot of the child stars because now the mom does not even have the moral capacity to tell them wasifanye hizo vitu juu hata yeye ana benefit kutoka kwa watoto wake kudance TikTok. So can we actually start asking ourselves, I'm a parents, mimi sina watoto, so probably sina nini, but I don't think anybody does not have a leg in the game when it comes to protecting children. But you need to ask yourself, if you have 300, 400 comments of, let me just say guys, men, in the comments who know those like children and they're commenting negative things, what do you think your kids are getting outside there? Then you're showing them it is normal because I believe they see the account, they see the comments, so you start normalizing these things. The same thing with very many things that happens around us. Sisi ndo tulikuwa tunaulizwa tukiwa, for example, shule, what would you do if you caught your friend, for example, smoking bangi? We've had that, tumesikia hiyo nini mara mingi, watu wakijoke, ulikuwa unaandika hapo, call the police. But right now you've seen so many people from maybe going out to campuses, to dini, to people you shared probably a room in hostel with, that you have become desensitized to the fact that one day you actually believed smoking bang is wrong. That is, I'm not saying whether it is wrong or right. I'm just saying there's a time you probably believed it was wrong. There's a time you believed drinking was wrong. There's a time you believed probably something sexual is wrong. But as you've grown and you have interacted with a lot of these things, you start believing it's okay. So that's the same environment you're actually exposing your kids to. They think it's okay for a guy who's in their 30s, 40s, or whatever, which is PDF, exactly, saying these things to them. So wakitoka hapo nje waambiwe hivyo and you're not there, they are going to think it is okay, it is normal. Then they're going to start thinking, oh wait, before you know it, mtu amewaguza, mtu amefanya nini, and they don't feel like they can say no. Because again, sometimes people feel like it is their fault. They're the ones who started by exposing themselves. The same way tunaulizangu alikuwa amevaa nini when something happens, when something goes left. So that is the environment you're protecting your kids. You are involving your kids in, instead of protecting them against it. So can just parents be parents? Like, it's good and all to be friends with your kids, but can we get back to the culture where parents are just parents, whereby you actually vet what your kids are watching, what your kids are doing online, what your kids are involved in, so that they can be able to involve in age appropriate activities. That way it is not up to them, or they don't feel responsible when something happens to them in the future. Because again, it is not normal. The comments are not normal. You have the capacity to mute the comments, you're not doing it. I don't know what it is you're learning when you say you're learning how to raise your kids from those comments. I don't know what it is you're learning, but it is creepy that you are allowing your children to come in the shortest of dresses, in the tightest of the knees, turn around, show their behinds, twerk, nini, etc. on this platform, and basically serving them on a silver platter to men who want to defile them. Tuache tu hizi vitu tafadhali. And that's not just for Suzzy Frank, it's for a lot of us, because tukiscroll it is normal. Tunapatanga mpaka watoto age 3-4, like ulishoot mtoto. Kushoot ni one thing, ulishoot alafu ukapost, alafu ukainteract nayo, ukapatana na comments, ukafanya hizo vitu zote, and you think it is normal. What happens when that person goes to the DD? Actually think of it like this. What happens when that attention stops coming in? Because attention is like currency. Attention is addictive. So they're going to start even doing more to be able to get that attention. So please, let's guide these kids. If not just for the parents. For the longest time we said it takes a village. If you see the next person next to you who's doing something off, mwambie tu, hey manzi, hapana, for like age appropriate wise, whatever you're doing to yourself is actually going to end up being worse. You are exposing yourself. The people who are watching this and commenting would probably do something if they met with you one-on-one. You are actually even enabling guys who would stalk and probably even end up doing the worst, essaying your kids. So it's one thing to look like, wachani tutafute pesa. Let's not use kids to do that. And please, Suzzy Frank, Suzzy Frank, Suzzy Frank, Suzzy Frank, and the other people who are like Suzzy Frank, stop using your children. Toka nje and amboka. Toka nje, fanya hizo vitu zote, so that kukuwe na boundary ya mzazi na mtoto. Let kids be kids. Let's stop sexualizing children, and let's stop being okay with it. It is not okay.